We are here at the Open Community Experience Conference with Danilo de Luca.
Yes, yeah, Luca.
And yesterday you had a talk about the circuit breaker pattern and its implementation with microprofile, which was really interesting from the technology perspective, but maybe I would be quite interested in knowing real-world examples of its use. I know that you think that probably every time we need to call some API we need to reach from one service to another service to perform some operation or get some data. We should probably already be thinking about resilience and about probably handling situations when one of the services starts failing, so that the failure is not propagated to another service. And the circuit breaker, of course, can help us to terminate that chain of failure. But how is it in real world? Can you give me some example of how you detect that something that you need the circuit breaker, and how you define the fallback, for example?
For sure, yeah. So when you think about circuit breaker, it's one of the ways that we try to improve the resilience of our architecture. And when we talk about resilience, it's all about how we are going to handle the failures and in different conditions. So, for example, when we talk about that we are working with a microservice architecture or a distributed architecture, it has a lot of different components, and then they need to communicate with each other using mainly asynchronous communication, for example, HTTP requests. So we need to understand that something can fail, so you can have a fail in your database, or you can have a kind of fail just because someone just deploys a new version and then something is broken. So because of that, we need to improve how we are going to handle fails in our architecture, and not propagate the fail to all our services and our architecture. And this is all about resilience, how your service, how your projects will handle these fails and not propagate it to all different components.
But can you give some examples, like something that I could imagine?
Yeah. One classic example is, for example, if you have a project which integrates with any financial provider, for example, Stripe or NetSuite or any kinds of these third-party APIs. And I know that Stripe is a big company.
So you need some payment.
Some payment stuff, and you need to integrate with a third-party API. And because of this API starts to fail, are you going to propagate this failure to all your architecture, or you are going to have one component that will be responsible to handle with this fail, and then try to follow one approach to do that in another time, or just handle the fail in
Okay, but if we take this example, of course there's probably some business reason why I need to reach for that payment provider, and if it fails and it keeps failing, what should I do as a fallback? Should I leave the customer without paying, or what should I do?
Well, that's a good question. So, for example, I like to think that it's one decision that you should make with your business and product perspective. So, for example, let's take the Amazon example. So, Amazon is a marketplace. If you buy something at Amazon, all the payment process happens asynchronous. Some of them I was talking with some guys from Amazon. They said, oh, some of the payments process happens synchronous, but not so often, because we know that we have a really hard throughput to handle payments, and then we don't need to only have one flow to get it paid.
So you just delay that payment. So you like, for example, you can say that it's not a high risk, and I believe that the payment will eventually come through, and I can just continue processing.
Yeah. So it's something that, when you take a look at the user experience, so I'm a user and buy a new item at Amazon. Hey, I just want to pay that. I don't care if you will delay the payments for 10 minutes, or if the payments will just happen in real time. I just want to buy my item, and if something went wrong, I receive a new message, and that's fine. So when we take a look at the user experience, at this example, probably thinking about the products and the business, it's not a problem to have only a synchronous flow to handle with payments, and it's not a problem that the user will wait for 10 minutes to get it moved from they start paying payments to paid. So it's something related that's
another idea that I have is that maybe you could have multiple providers for the same thing,
for sure.
but one of them is maybe more expensive, so you try first to use the cheaper one, but if you get too many failures, then you switch to the other one, and for a limited period of time you can afford to use that.
That's a good example. I remember that at my previous company we had something like that. So we had the 5 different payments providers, and we had something like a list of priorities for each of them, because each of them had their own taxes for each payment, and the lowest one wasn't the first one at the list, because it wasn't the best, but the point was we had some fallbacks for it. So if the first provider is failing, then we just recognize that we do not block all the requests to it. So think about a secret breaker. We just implemented something like a secret breaker to recognize how is the health of our external financial providers, and then if it was just growing the failures, we just would switch to the second one, and so on, going to different providers every time. And also we had some rules related to we don't need to not send some requests for the last financial provider only when everything is failing. So by the end every day we would send a certain amount for each provider. For example, in 1 hour, 90% of the financial requests we would send for the first one, the highest priorities, and the others 10% requests we would distribute them between the other providers, and always keep in mind that all the providers, they are working as expected. So if we had any problem with the first one, it wouldn't be able to switch to the other providers.
Okay. Actually, I'm thinking about the project that I'm currently working on, and in that case, we need to contact another service to get some basic information about the customer that we're working with. So it's a separate service that has access to the customer information and contract information, and can I somehow use the circuit breaker in such a scenario? Because if I can't reach that service, then I cannot just make up some information, or can I? Maybe I could use some placeholders and then fill in the correct information later. What do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing that you need to have in mind is that if this integration to get the customer information fails, what's gonna happen if your business rules your project? So you need to understand how impactful is not receiving the
For
customer
example,
information.
I might need to know what services the customer subscribed to. So what options I can offer the customer to do. So if I don't have that information, then I might offer the customer to do something that he's not paying for example. But maybe if I don't execute it immediately, then I can still do it and later said, okay, sorry, but after checking, we found out that you are not actually authorized to do this unless you upgrade your subscription. Maybe could that be the solution?
Yeah, for sure. And if it's not a problem to do that, and make your response to take maybe 10 minutes to conclude all this process. Think about having a circuit breaker and implement a fallback for this kind of case that will get the right response after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 30 minutes. This is fine. So, for example, let's think that what's the better option is to show to the user that something happened and he will not be able to proceed with that transaction, or say to your user, okay, we are processing your request and maybe in 5 minutes we are going to get to one answer about that. So when we take a look at the user experience,
or maybe I can, if I need to collect some information from the customer, I collect the information that's not dependent on the information from the other service, and then I can say, okay, we can continue this process later.
Yeah, for sure. So this is the point. So for example,
it definitely requires cooperation with the business guys to define the user experience, and so it should be their decision if they can provide us with the alternative flows that where we could use.
Yeah. It's always about it's all about that, man. So we talk about at the beginning about the resilience of the architecture, but the resilience of architecture is just a mirror from the resilience of our products to our clients. So when I asked about, is it a problem to show to our clients that something happened and he can proceed with his transaction, and then you can even lose that client? Or is it better to just say to a person, okay, we are processing that, and maybe in 5 minutes, or let's say in a short time, you are going to get a response if that was successful or not. So this is the point. Sometimes we don't want to lose our clients. We don't want to lose someone that is using our application just because a third-party guy is not working anymore.
And this brings me actually to an idea which I often have to think about, that it's very important that the technical people know how to work with the business people, the non-technical people, because this is like here we are at the conference where we usually meet just the technical guys. We talk about technologies, how it can be implemented with different standards and products. But actually we should go a step further, and we should also think about, okay, if I know about this technology, how should I communicate about it with the business guys who are involved in my project, so that I get the information from them how I actually can use this technology to help them to achieve their business goals. Because without that, just knowing that there's some technology feature doesn't help me because I don't know how to use it for the business, and vice versa. If the business people just think that the technology should just work and it has to be like 100% available and that's the way we want it, it's not reality. And we technologists, we need to tell them, okay, this is not real. We have a distributed system, we have third-party APIs, there's always something that can break, something that won't work as expected. So we need to think about the alternatives, we need to have fallbacks, and we need to define them so that it makes sense, so that it still brings value to the customer.
Just listening to that, it just highlights me that one side that I have from this is that technology is nothing without business, and business is nothing without technology. So
exactly.
These are two different areas, but they are not different. They are together all the time. So it doesn't matter that you have your own scalable architecture if you're using the latest version of technologies or the best technology in the market. The best, of course, not that there's the best one, but if your business are not able to understand what are the pains of your clients, and not focus on building products that will change people's life. So you just have an architecture with a bunch of technologies that has no meaningful for that.
Or is not used correctly to support the business.
Exactly. And that's the same as if you have business, the best business ever, but you are not able to use the technology correctly, or the technology to be able to improve that business. So it's not it's not separated. Business and technology must be together. And think about, okay, this is our goal and how we are going to get everything together and how we are going to build something that our clients will.
Perfect. And that's basically what I'm trying to focus on. Every time I try to talk to people about what I do, I try to stress that I'm a guy who likes to connect. And the connect can have two meanings. One meaning is connecting systems, which is like integrating systems using APIs, and that's thing that is connected to your talk, to the circuit breaker pattern, where that can be applied to some API interaction. And the other meaning of connecting is connecting people, like connecting technical people with business people, so they can together achieve something good and efficient. And so just spontaneously, starting from your talk, we got to this great synthesis of this. So thank you very much for your discussion.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Okay.